How's it going, gents? This is the new Triumph Tiger 1200 XTR. This is the most advanced Triumph they've got out right now. Top of the range. I would almost say it's the most advanced motorcycle out these days. If you can throw a gadget, an electronic gizmo, any kind of riding aid or electronic feature on a motorcycle, this one's got it. It's just unbelievable, the cool things it's got. I've been loaned this bike by Triumph for the next 2 weeks, and we'll be testing it out and doing some awesome rides on it, going through all its features and stuff. I'll be making a video showing off its how to ride it, but I just wanted to do one where I'm just walking around it and just going through some of the features, because it's just got too many to do while I'm riding around. Literally had to print out a piece of paper just to remind myself of all the crazy stuff it's got, because it's just insane. So as you'll see, it's a big, comfy touring bike. It's in an adventure bike style. I would say it is a road-focused bike though. This is not the off-road version. There is an XCA version coming out, which I'll have in the next couple weeks to try out off-road. This is just an on-road version. So I'll give you the basics of it. It's a 1200 triple, makes about 140 horsepower, has a pretty low seat height at about 830 mil. So it's pretty good for the class actually. It's very slow. It can be raised up. That's in its low position right now. Single-sided swing arm. It is shaft driven. It has a perfect neutral seating position. So it is one of the most comfortable, if not the most comfortable bikes I've ridden. The GS is probably on par with it, I'd say. Both unbelievably comfortable bikes. Sit on them for 12 hours plus on them. Big 20-litre petrol tank, so you can go pretty far. It's not as big as the BMW GSA's 30-litre, but this is quite efficient, this little triple, so little 1200, this triple. Quite efficient, so if you can get under, 4 to 5 litres per 100 Ks, you can go pretty damn far on it. Now, I'd have to say, starting off, the best thing about this motorcycle that I can say is its suspension. This WP electric, what does it say here? I didn't know anything about the suspension. This TSAS suspension. I just thought it was just another bloody electric suspension that you're not really going to feel and it's not really going to make a difference. Hell no. This stuff is freaking magic. Now, I've owned a BMW with electric suspension. I've also had Olin's electric suspension, and I've ridden a few bikes with electric suspension. Nothing compares to this WP suspension. You can 100% feel it doing everything while you're moving. It's insane. For example, when you're stopping in a traffic light and you hit the front brakes to kind of stop, and then when you go to the traffic light and your bike kind of goes like this and it raises, it kind of springs back when you come to a stop. Doesn't happen on this bike. You come to a stop at the traffic light and it just stops. And there's just almost no dive from the front. It doesn't squat on the back with a passenger. This suspension is freaking magic. It feels like a BMW telelever. If you don't know what telelever is, on the GS they have a large spring in the middle which stops the fork dive, but still allows you to have long suspension travel. It works really well on the GS. This does it without a telelever, just with its magic electric suspension. It is honestly the coolest thing about this bike, and I never would have thought it would be suspension that would make me rave on about a bike, but it has been the coolest thing. I'll go through the dash a little bit as well, because you can change it on the fly, the comfort of the suspension, but it's pretty amazing. So I'll have a look at the dash. Oh wait, where is the electric key? Here's the key for it. It is there's a fully wireless key, so you just got to have that near the bike and it will then turn on. It's got some daytime running lights. It's got actually 3 different light settings. So you've got all LEDs, you've got daytime running lights, and then you can go to the... So we got daytime running lights, we've got normal lights, and then we've got a couple of super lights down there. So 3 different light settings. Dash is all screen basically. This is your on-the-fly adjusting of the suspension. That can be easily adjusted while you're riding, just with the toggle there. All this is lit up, all this switch gear. This bike just has bloody everything. So the cruise control also works differently than normal bikes. Normally you just turn it on and then press set when you reach your desired speed, and it will hold that speed. Not on this bike. This bike will do that, but also if you press this top button, if you're in third gear, you can set a speed and it will actually accelerate up to that speed and then hold that speed. So if you set it at 100 k's an hour, you get up to third gear and you press that button, the bike will take you up to 100 degrees and you can take your hand off the accelerator. All other bikes, you've had to get to that speed, then press the button, and then it will hold that speed. So it's just extra little things on this bike that is just amazing and stuff. Things like the quick shifter. A normal up-down quick shifter works very well and very smooth. But then as I was testing it out, I found out that it is the only quick shifter I've used that will let you downshift with throttle open. So you can be at medium throttle and click down and auto blip and go down a gear, and it works it out. Like, BMW will not let you downshift on a quick shifter if you have any throttle whatsoever. 1% throttle and it will cancel that quick shifter on the downshift. So I don't know why BMW does that. And it's cool that Triumph lets you do it, because the quick shifter works 100% of the time now, because sometimes you'd be at 1% throttle and it wouldn't let you downshift on my old BMW, but this one works excellent. Also, another cool party feature that I've been showing everyone with this bike is the adjustable electric windscreen. So it lets you go up and down, just with this little toggle here. Basically just go to the menu of screen adjustment, and then on the up down you can raise and lower it. So in traffic I've let it down all the way so my head sits over and I can look over the windscreen. Then on the freeway I raise it up, and then it perfectly covers all my helmet so I get no wind noise, and can pretty much just open my visor and just not have to use the visor of my helmet. So the dash has got all your usual kind of riding modes that you get these days, and it'll adjust everything from throttle map to traction control, ABS, and its traction control is corner traction control, and ABS is corner ABS as well, kind of like your BMW standard maps these days. You can also change this map. This screen is off the 765 Street Triple and Speed Triple. So it seems like all the Triumphs are going to get them now, and the amount of customization is phenomenal. The bike setup that you can do, you can change everything on it, and yes, there is features in here to change your indicators, which are now self-canceling. There's basic, which I've kept it on, which kind of works. Auto Advance I found just turned off the indicators. It didn't really work much, and then you've just got your normal manual ones. The Auto Basic does seem to work. I can turn it on, make my turn, and then it auto cancels the indicator as well. Other cool features in here are hill hold mode, something I've never seen on a motorcycle before. It will actually hold the rear brake for you while you're on a hill, so you can use both your feet on the ground and just take off naturally and not have to kind of be on one foot and hold the bike. Obviously, being a 243 kilo dry weight bike, sometimes it's nice to be able to keep both feet on the ground while you're taking off on a steep hill. So that's a feature I've never seen on a motorcycle before, is hill hold control. Seen it on cars and stuff, but first time on a bike. Another awesome feature, which isn't much use for in Australia right now, being summer, even though my wife has used it on the mornings that we've been commuting on this bike. I've been commuting on this bike for a week. I've got this bike for 2 weeks and I've spent a week commuting on it. And she loves this feature, is the Triumph heated seats and passenger seat. So rider and passenger seat is heated. The passenger's got a little switch here, so my wife can turn it on, and it turns on the little dial there, so that's her heated seat. And then my switch is over here on the dash, and that turns on mine. Just here is my one. And you've got obviously heated grips as well, and that comes in three different settings. So the level of craziness. Now I know the Super Adventure has that with the heated seats as well, but awesome to see Triumph bring it out. And you know, people make fun of you, but man, on cold mornings and stuff, that heated seat is excellent. My wife already freaking loves it. I haven't really used it because it hasn't been cold enough for me, but my wife's always cold, so she loves using it. Other things that I like off the Super Adventure, these lights here, these bottom ones, are adaptive lighting. So they'll actually, when you turn and lean up the road, they'll actually keep the road lit up as you're turning through. So to always keep some light on the road. Now, I've spoken about just electric kind of gizmos and features and stuff. Getting to more of the meat and potatoes of the bike, we've got the engine and exhaust. Now, this comes with the standard for this model. This is the XRT model, which is the highest spec version of the new Triumph Tiger. It comes standard with this titanium arrow exhaust. I will say it isn't a loud exhaust. I'll start it up for you. It isn't a super loud exhaust. It kind of sounds maybe even a bit quieter than my 675 Daytona. It has a good sound, but it is not crazy loud. So I know a lot of people on a touring bike probably don't look for a really loud exhaust, so it's probably just nice to get a good sound and a bit of lightweightness. Basically, that being titanium is going to be a lot lighter than a standard exhaust. And obviously on a big bike like this that weighs 240 kilos dry, you want to keep the weight down as much as possible. Speaking of weight, this is 11 kilos lighter than the previous model. Might not mean much to you if you don't know much about the Triumph Tiger, but it is significant to go to a newer model and drop that much weight. And now let's talk about the engine, which has been a bit of a strange one for me. When I first got on the bike, I thought it was lacking a little bit. I guess I was expecting something more the equivalent of a KTM Super Adventure or a BMW GS 1200, which is their torque monsters. This still being a Triumph Triple, still requires a bit of a rev. It hit peaks. Peak torque is 7,500 RPM, and peak horsepower, which is that 140 horsepower, comes in at 9,000 RPM, which is significantly more revvy than those bigger touring bikes. I can't say it's a slow bike. It's definitely 140 horsepower, and she gets up and moves. But for some of the older guys, I reckon they probably want more torquey kind of bike, whereas this, you do need to rev it a bit. Some of my mates absolutely loved it. They love revving out bikes. These guys are sports bikes guys, so revving out a bike is no problem for them. I just feel like it could have been a little torqueier being a 1200. But then again, it's not a bad motor in any way. Very smooth, obviously being a Triumph Triple, buttery smooth and very manageable. I've been, commuting on this every day with my wife on the back in start-stop traffic, and it's been easy to lane filter. Obviously, being big bars isn't the easiest to lane filter, but able to ride it slowly and it doesn't get out of hand like a Ducati or a V-twin where it's a little bit tricky to maneuver around slowly, and it stays very cool. So that's it. I don't want to seem like I'm just being too much of an ad. Basically, Triumph told me to check out this new Tiger, and at first I thought it was going to be an off-road version. Then it was a road version. I was like, oh, don't know if I can be bothered. I'm not really, I like my road bikes to be sports bikes, but I did try this out because when I read through the spec sheet, I was just like, oh my God, I want to try out all those cool features. Like, I've always been, it's why I really liked my 2015 S1000RR, having all those cool features like cruise control and up-down quick shifter and all those gizmos and gadgets. That's what I'm into. I love technology and stuff, so I love cool technology on motorcycles, and this is the best if you like crazy technology on a motorcycle. It has everything you could put on a motorcycle electronically, and it is also a bloody comfortable, brilliant motorcycle. I will be making a video of me riding this bike. Me and my wife are going to World Superbikes on Sunday. I'm going to ride this. It's a long ride down to Phillip Island and back with her on the back, but it will be uber comfortable because this being a beautiful touring bike, it is a wonderful thing to ride for many hours. If you can see all the wind protection here that they've added with all these little fins, and the way it kind of, you can see from here, it kicks out to the sides and really gives you excellent wind protection. It's going to be easier to ride down there, much easier than when I used to do it on a sports bike. But this has really surprised me, this bike, and I'm super excited to ride the off-road version because that's more something I'd be into. If I'm going to have a big adventure bike style like this, I'd rather just have spoke wheels and a bit more tuned off-road suspension, be able to do some fire trails and some proper adventure, get some luggage on it. That's what I would have the bike for. But if you're looking at just a very ultimate comfort, ultimate electronics and gizmo feature bike that you're looking for just road, man, this new Triumph Tiger, whew, it's right up there. It's not a cheap bike. Comes in, I think, 27,500 before on-road costs in Australia. Not a cheap bike, but for what you get, damn, man, it's got everything. So it is worth it, and that's why I've titled the video why the Triumph Tiger is worth around $28,000, which it is, because it is, when I first saw the price of it, and I thought, oh, Triumph Tiger, that's kind of expensive, it's GS territory, but it is GS territory bike. It is freaking cool. So anyway, I'm gonna take it for a ride, do some off-roading up here, and get ready for World Superbikes on Sunday. Yeah. Lights, and then you can go to the, let's turn it on. Triumph, so I gotta hold the stupid thing.